Hey guys, Chris Ross here with A Digit Media. And in my previous video, I talked about the differences between niche ad copy and general ad copy and how niche ad copy can definitely generate more qualified leads and consultations for you. And today, what I want to be able to go over with you is my simple process for using AI in order to crank out winning ad copy for my clients that are producing leads that have anywhere from $500,000 on up in investable assets. So what I'm going to share today will be a process that you can actually take and start using it right now in order to start creating your own winning ad copy for your webinars, your seminars, your VSLs, or whatever it is that you may be doing in order to grow your advisory practice. So let's get into it. So if you're like most people, meaning you're not a copywriter, what you're really looking for is kind of a hack, or I would say maybe the cheat code to being able to write effective copy that's going to bring in the leads and the clients and whatever it is that you are looking for in your particular financial advisory agency. So here's a simple process that I like to follow because I don't even consider myself a copywriter either, but I know some of the most, what I would say, famous copywriters, aka the ones that you always see on social media. And here's a simple process that I tend to follow in order to start my process of hacking my way into using AI to create effective ad copy. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to go and search out for ad copy that these particular copywriters are already producing. So if you think about it, most copywriters or people who write copy for some of these really fancy brands, they tend to pay these people a lot of money. They've done a lot of research. They thought about all the psychological triggers and everything that kind of goes into creating copy. And you want to try to be able to do that yourself, but you don't have all the years of experience that these other people have. So what I'll do is I'll go into Facebook and go to these pages, and I will go to the Facebook page library, because if you didn't know, Facebook actually has a library of ads that each particular page runs. So you could actually go to some of your competitors' Facebook pages, go to that ad library, look to see what ads that they are running, and that's going to be the first step that you need to take in order to kind of start spying on the competition. Now, one of the things that we don't know when looking at this ad copy is we don't know how effective it is. Only the people who are running the ads can really tell you if the ad copy is effective or not. You can read through it and you may think it's a good performing ad, and just because the ad is running doesn't necessarily mean that it's effective either, because they could just be testing out some new ad copy. So one of the things that I like to do is when I go and click on these ads, typically you're going to start to get hit with other ads from that same kind of vertical, or even maybe some retargeting ads from that same company. Now, here's where the magic starts to happen. What you want to do is you want to look for ads that have a lot of engagement on it. So maybe there's a lot of comments on the ads, maybe there's a lot of likes, loves, even angry emojis, whatever the case may be. You want to look and find the ads that have the most engagement. If there's a lot of engagement on it, the reason why that is because Facebook feels like that ad is performing well, and Facebook is showing this ad to a lot of people. And this is going to be one of the ways that you could potentially know how effective an ad is going to be. So once you're able to identify some of these, what I like to do is just take a little screenshot of the ad, and I'm going to save it to my swipe file. So whether you're using Notion, Evernote, doesn't really matter where you save it. You just want to make a copy of this particular ad. And I'm going to repeat this process until I come up with however many ads it is that I may want to have for my swipe file. And that's going to be really the very first step that you need to take in order to start to basically kind of curate your library of ads that you could potentially use when we get to step 2 of the process. So the library does give you indication of how long the ads have been running. Let's say that I have an ad that works really well in a campaign, and maybe I created it, let's just say November of last year. I ran that campaign for a certain amount of time and then I turned it off, but I never made any changes to it. But then 3 months later, I turned that same ad on. You may be led to believe that, oh, this ad has been running since November. That may not necessarily be the case. That's likely just the date in which the ad was actually created and the campaign was set up. So it's not a clear indication that the ad has been running that whole entire time, but it does at least allude to the fact of how old that particular ad may be. So I guess it kind of still works kind of hand in hand. If you see an ad that has a really old date, then that's probably sort of a good indication that, hey, at least this ad is still running, whether it was running the whole time or if it was running in different spurts. They keep bringing it back for a reason. So I'm only going to go back to a campaign that has produced results versus maybe coming up with an entirely new campaign from scratch. Those are the two metrics that I primarily want to look for. Now, there may be some other key indicators that some other people may be able to give you. But when it comes to what it is that I'm looking for, I'm primarily looking for the ads that have a lot of engagement, again, a lot of comments. If I know that this person is really good at writing ads in general, so for example, if you take a look at some of the ads from like Frank Kern, or maybe you look at some of the ads from like Scalable, Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozy, this dude spends millions of dollars running all kinds of tests. You want to think about who are the people out there that love to do a lot of marketing tests. You can always take their ad copy and add that to your swipe file, because at least you're going to have some kind of foundation to be able to go off of. They're going to use a lot of best practices. They're going to basically do a lot of research and stuff for you. And while they may be running ads in a completely different niche from you, that's completely fine, because you're not looking to exactly copy word for word what it is that you're doing. What you're actually looking for is you're looking for things like tonality, structure of the ads, the different emotional triggers, the formatting of the ads. Is it long copy? Is it short copy? Are there a lot of 1 or 2 syllable words? Is there a lot of marketing buzzwords in it? Those are all the things that you want to be able to look for in the ad copy to help you structure the ad copy that you're actually going to use. And this is where AI does a really good job of being able to pick up on these different elements. And if you're finding what I'm saying so far to be valuable, it would be awesome if you would leave a like or maybe hit the subscribe button below. I share dozens of helpful content and tips on what you can do from a marketing perspective in order to grow your agency. So whether you are a new advisor or you're an established advisor, I'm here to help you both. So let's continue on with the rest of the video. Now, when it comes to my own swipe file, I'm going to be real honest here with you. I don't have a very big, massive library. What I have been able to do is I've been able to swipe some ads from some people that I really trust. And I like the methodology behind how they actually create their ads. Meaning these were people where I actually paid to sign up for their copywriting course. I've gone through and have spent thousands of dollars to learn from some of these individuals. And for that particular reason, I don't need to swipe a whole lot of copy. I really just need to kind of make a little bit of an investment in money to get access to these people, and then basically hunt down all of the copy that they may have written in the past. So while I'm not going to reveal who I'm actually getting the copy from, I will tell you that the swipe file that I currently use to produce copy for a lot of our agents that's actually producing leads with anywhere from $500,000 on up, there's actually 3 distinct ads that are in my swipe file right now that I continually use over and over again in my process, that is actually churning out winning ad copy for me left and right. In fact, I just created just the other week for a new client that we onboarded about a couple of weeks ago. In fact, this particular group is a group that's out of North Carolina, and this particular advisor is really looking for people who is primarily going to manage their money. A lot of financial advisors kind of focus on either taxes or focus on Social Security or just general retirement planning. What I'm sharing with you here today in order to create some ad copy for them, and I was measuring the quality of the leads that were coming in from the webinar campaign that we're doing from them right now, and 1/3 of all of the leads that are being generated have anywhere between $1 million and $3.5 million. And this is just the second iteration of this campaign, so we haven't even like completely done all of our optimizations. This is just the first round of ads that we've created from them, and this all came from this process that I'm sharing with you here today. Now that you've been able to maybe do some competitor research, swipe some of their files, and come up with, I would probably say anywhere between 3 to 5 different versions of ad copy that you may want to use in order to create your own copy. Next, what you want to be able to do is start to use the AI. Now, me, for writing copy, I know a lot of people are out there are using ChatGPT. Obviously, DeepSeek is a new one that's out there right now. You got Grok 3, where a lot of people are talking about that. Me personally, I'm kind of partial to Claude. For whatever reason, I feel like Claude does a better job with writing ad copy when it comes to the emotional aspects of it, the tonality, really getting it to kind of mirror whatever your swipe file may be. Now, I know Claude just recently came out with Claude 3.7, and I actually tested this last night with some of that new ad copy that I was writing for a new client, and was actually pleasantly surprised with what it was able to come up with. Now, I haven't tested this new ad copy yet, but Claude is my personal choice or my personal go-to for AI when it comes to getting the ad copy written. So really what this process comes down to is my first prompt that I give it is really just a simple prompt, which is I'm telling Claude what it is that I want to do. So I'm going to say, hey, I need to write ad copy for a webinar or a seminar. I'm going to provide you with some example ad copy. I want you to read and review the ad copy and wait for my next prompt. That's literally all I'm saying in the very first thing it is that I'm doing. So from there, what I will do is I'll start to feed it the example ad copy that I want it to use as a basis for creating the new ad copy. So in my scenario, I got those 3 ads that I talked about. I'm going to feed it example 1, wait for it to review it, feed it example 2, let it review that, feed it example 3, let it review that, and then I'm going to give it the next step in my particular process. Now for me, the next part of my process is going to be having a transcript of a webinar, for example. So advisors do a really good job at presenting educational content to the leads that they want to be able to convert, but obviously this educational content does not come across in a very kind of compelling and necessarily marketing kind of way, but it is packed with a lot of good insights and resources that you can use. So what I tend to do is I'll take one of my clients' webinars, get it transcribed, and I'm going to feed that transcription to Claude. So after I have given it the initial prompt, I've given it my 3 example ad copies, I'm going to give it the transcription of the webinar and say, okay, review this webinar, make notes of anything that you may find compelling or interesting, and then wait for the next prompt. So after Claude has taken the transcription, this is where I have an additional prompt, and this is what I'm going to actually share with you in the description below, or maybe in a separate resource, is I want to give Claude some additional guidelines about how to write the actual ad copy. So not only do I want it to use the structure, the tonality, the emotional triggers, all those things that I talked about in the example ad copy, I want to put some limits on some of the things that Claude is going to do, such as I don't want it to use like marketing buzzwords. I don't want it to use excessively long sentences. I want to keep the copy kind of short and punchy. We want the copy to kind of read how you would actually talk to an individual if they were in your office, or maybe if you were trying to persuade somebody, right? You're not going to use a bunch of fancy words in most cases. You're really going to have a kind of more of a natural conversation. So once I kind of give it these additional guardrails, that's when Claude is actually going to work its magic. It's going to review the example ad copy, take the transcript, and then it's going to produce this new ad copy for me. And that is really it. It's not a very long process. Generally takes me probably about 10 minutes or so in order to do this, because in a lot of cases, what I may do when I get the initial draft of the ad copy, depending upon the tone of it, I may ask it to make it more friendly. I may be asked it to be a little bit more contrarian. It really just kind of depends on the vibe of the client it is that I'm working with and kind of what they're looking for. So you can make some refinements to it as you go, but the general process is literally what I've laid out here, which is not very difficult to follow at all. So as far as making adjustments to the ad copy itself, typically once I get the first draft, I'm going to read through that copy and I'm going to kind of compare it to, for example, some of the other winning ad copy that I have. So the opening line of ad copy is really the most important part, especially on Facebook, because that's the very first thing that people are going to read after they see the creative and maybe read the headline of the ad. They're going to see that first line of text. So that first line of text is going to be very important. And I want to make sure that's going to be something that's going to stop somebody in their tracks and get them to actually see more. So a lot of my refinements will really kind of come down to taking a look at what the opening hook is, really kind of what the closing section of it is, and the actual CTA, meaning call to action. So I have some clients, right? They don't want to be too much of a contrarian. They really kind of want the ad copy to be a little bit more friendly, not so much in your face kind of ad copy. So generally my refinements are really going to come down to like the tone of the ad copy itself. Now, ultimately, we're not going to know if the ad copy is going to be effective until we test it. Until I actually get it in a campaign, I really won't know what kind of like true refinements I'm going to make, because I need to put some money behind the ad copy and actually see if it's going to produce results or not. When it comes to testing the ad copy, there's a general format that I personally like to use. So normally if I'm setting up any new campaign, I'm going to start my campaign with 3 different ad sets that are going to have 3 different versions of ad copy. And then I'm generally going to use 3 different creatives within each ad set itself. I'm going to give Facebook a pretty good variety of copy and creatives in order to work with, in order to see which one is going to optimize first, right? So I'll start the campaign. I'm going to let it spend at least $100 before I really kind of make any kind of decision on what kind of steps steps that I may take after that. So after I spend $100, if I'm getting leads to opt in at my desired KPI, so let's just say on a webinar, for example, I'm really looking for people to opt in somewhere between $15 and $20, depending upon what the webinar topic may be. If I'm hitting those metrics, then I'm going to let that ad continue to run. If I'm not hitting those metrics, then I'm going to start to look at which versions of ad copy is not working well, and or maybe which creatives that go along with that ad copy that's not working well, and I'm going to start to cut my losses. Now, one of the unique things that we have access to is the ability to measure the quality of the leads that are coming in, right? So this is one of the things that we're able to do with our lead verification system, which is not only do I care about the cost per lead of a particular campaign, I really am more concerned about the quality of the lead that's being generated. So for example, let's say that of the 3 ad versions, like 3 ad sets that I've set up, let's just say that all 3 of them are converting, and one is converting at $30, one is at $20, and let's just say the other one is at $10. I'm going to measure the quality of the leads that are coming in from each ad set, and if the $30 leads are leads that have $3.5 million or more, I'm gonna let the campaign go with the $30 CPL, because the client is always going to want leads that have as much assets as possible. So without the ability to objectively measure the quality of your leads on the front end, maybe a little bit difficult in order for you to make those decisions early on in the testing process. We're actually able to do that. In your scenario, you may have to wait until after your webinar or your event is over, and then maybe book consultations with people and you kind of measure the quality of the leads there. But my testing initially is going to come down to just simply looking at cost per lead and lead quality at the same time. Now that I've shared my simple winning process for swiping ad copy from your competitors, or maybe even some of the famous copywriters that you follow online, I'm kind of interested in whether or not you're doing something similar. Have you been able to create your own swipe file? Do you have your own AI prompts that you're using in order to create winning ad copy for yourself? I'd love to hear your feedback, or leave a comment below. I'll be happy to read it. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you in the next one.